yeah, tonight, in the early hours of tomorrow morning, Katie Taylor will face Amanda Serrano in what seems to be the most watched female boxing match in history. It's the sequel that'll be streamed live on Netflix, and apparently Katie Taylor will reportedly earn over about $6 million for the fight. It's about 6 times the money she received when they fought back in 2022. But there have been some suggestions online and in the sporting world that she shouldn't be the undercard fight between former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson and YouTube boxer Jake Paul. Retired boxing journalist Seán McGoldrick is with me on the line today because, Seán, you've pretty much covered, all of Katie's entire boxing career. Is it a strange move for her?
Well, I suppose at one level it is, but on another level it makes a lot of sense. Well, as you alluded to there, Andrea, she's earning a reputed $6 million for the fight, which is unquestionably her biggest ever paycheck. It's the biggest ever paycheck that any female boxer has ever received. Secondly, it's the fact that it's in a stadium. This is one of the things that she has always wanted, and why she was so anxious to fight in Croke Park. She's joint headline with Tyson and Paul, so she's next best thing to headline an act in a big football stadium. Now, I don't think. Initially when the fight was announced during the summer, they were talking about maybe a crowd of 120,000. Now I think it'll be a lot less than that, maybe 60, but it's still a massive crowd. And then obviously it's the rivalry with Serrano, who they fought a fantastic fight back in March 2022 in Madison Square Garden, probably the greatest fight of all time. So it was always likely that there would be a sequel, because that's the way boxing works now. It's taken a good while to get it off the ground. So for all those reasons, I think she was always going to take the fight. It's not a huge risk.
Is the criticism because the fight that'll follow her, former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson, the fact that it's with YouTube boxer Jake Paul?
No, absolutely, yeah. This is really like what could be described as true blue boxing fans are aghast at this because obviously for two reasons. Because Tyson is 58, 59 and hasn't exactly led a clean life since he retired from the ring. Obviously his last fight was against an Irishman, Kevin McBride. And then Jake Paul is basically, as I do say, he's famous for being famous. Like, he's a YouTuber, social
media. He's an influencer,
media.
really, isn't he?
Exactly, yeah. But he has latched on to professional boxing in the last couple of years. And I suppose his argument, and I suppose there is some legitimacy to this in that, like, I'd say any person under 30 years of age, except they're a big sports fanatic, has probably never heard of Mike Tyson. Just being realistic about it. Whereas I think everybody who is on social media of that age group has heard of him. So his argument would be, and I think Netflix have bought into it, is that he has brought a whole new audience to boxing. Now, on the other hand, he isn't a proven boxer. He wouldn't last a round against a comparable 27-year-old who was even, I'd say, at amateur level. But that's the way the world is with social media. And there's a lot of money at stake. But it does besmirch the sport of boxing to that. Well, that's
and I heard, like, I've been listening to some of this. I don't know if criticism is maybe necessarily the right word, but this kind of the suggestions that for all of those reasons that you've just mentioned, Seán, that's why some people feel Katie Taylor shouldn't take to the ring before Mike Tyson and Jake Paul.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's the other side of the argument. But she would see it. But basically, she has been a fan of. She is a student of boxing. Of all boxing, as in fact Tyson. So she would have been a big fan of Tyson. And I think it's just the fact that at the end of the day, in professional boxing, money talks. And it was probably too good of an offer to resist. In fairness to her, she has resisted all temptations, and I know she has got huge offers to fight in the Middle and say Saudi Arabia or Qatar, or particularly Saudi Arabia, where where basically professional boxing has kind of moved to now, because the Arab rulers or people out there have suddenly got very interested. I mean, that's sports washing, I guess. It's happening in a lot of sports, and it is happening in professional boxing as well. There's a huge show out there at the weekend. There's another one at Christmas, but she has resisted all those temptations. So, but this one I think was just too good to turn down.
Who'd blame her? I mean, $6 million is hard to say no to that. Stay with me, Seán, if you don't mind. A couple of other voices getting in touch. It's 1800 453 106 is the number. Anna Moore is with us. Anna's a Central Council member at the Irish Athletic Boxing Association. What's your thoughts on this, Anna?
Well, I think the same as Seán. I mean, you're going to have a fight that, in my opinion, will be outstanding between Katie and Amanda. But the thing about it is, people are going to be it'll set their hearts racing watching that fight. And then all of a sudden, you're going to be brought back down by Tyson and Jake Paul, because it's going to be an anticlimax. You know, put them on the undercard and put Katie and Amanda Serrano on as the headliner. That's the way I would have done it. But as you said, and it's right, I mean, you can't refuse $6 million, you know? And I mean, this fight has been on the cards for a long time. It was going to be on, it was going to be off. And I think Katie just wants to get this fight and get this fight over with, you know?
And whether it's for whatever the reason, it's up to herself anyway. But I imagine that she wants the rematch with Amanda Serrano. Sure, that's been kind of mooted for a long time, hasn't it?
Uh-huh. Well, she was supposed to come to Ireland to box in Ireland against her. Amanda has, I think, 2 or 3 times has pulled out of this fight, which Katie really wanted.
The idea that it's been streamed on Netflix, as Seán mentioned, Anna, that brings a sort of a different kind of audience too, doesn't it?
Yes, well, I mean, you'll have at least 300,000 watching it on Netflix, you know? I mean, that'll be the audience on Netflix. But I think it's going to be a brilliant fight, and I do think Katie will come out the right side of it. I really do.
Texter here says boxing is a tough business, and at Katie's career stage, she should take the big payout, even if it is the undercard of a joke show.
Yes, well, I'd agree with that. I'd agree, who can turn down $6 million? Nobody. And if you look at it, if you went back, as you said, in 2022, it was only a few $1,000s. But Katie Taylor has brought, like she did with amateur boxing, because in amateur boxing, it was Katie Taylor and the way she boxed that got women's boxing into the Olympics. And now she's done the very same with professional boxing. She's brought it to a stage that they're making $6 million on one fight. That was never known. Female professional boxing was down at the very end. And Katie again has brought it up to this level.
Another listener says people are watching Tyson, a boxing legend, not a role model, don't get me wrong. You'd never have those figures without Tyson, not a chance. Michael in Kilkenny makes the point, it's not wrong that Katie Taylor's fight is the undercard for the Mike Tyson fight. Tyson and Jake Paul are bringing the eyes. Katie will benefit financially from the clown show of Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. It's not fair, but sure, that's just life, says Mike. Ken Moore is with us on the line. Ken's a coach at St Francis Boxing Club in Limerick. What's your views on this, Ken?
My views on this, it's an old saying in professional boxing that, you know, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. And I think that's what we're seeing here today. Jake Paul has brought this huge presence with him. You know, let's not forget the first time that Katie fought Serrano was the first time ever that women got paid $1 million. And that was on the back of Jake Paul being co-promoter. And now here we are just 4 years down the line and they're getting $6 million. So, you know, it's people can call it what's on the clown show or a circus. I've heard it call all that. But really, for boxers like Serrano, for Katie, eventually they're getting paid the big money that they deserve, that their talents deserve. And, you know, there's a lot of talk that it shouldn't be on before the Tyson and Jake Paul fight. And, you know, I kind of agree with that. But at the end of the day, Jake Paul is paying the bills. He can do what he wants.
So it sort of is a bit of a novelty match then, is it? Not that there's anything maybe necessarily wrong with that, but...
Oh, it's 100% a novelty match. You know, I mean, you have Mike Tyson at 58 years of age, you know, a legend of sport, but this man now is 58, and as Seán alluded to earlier on, hasn't lived the healthiest lifestyle. against, a YouTuber. It's just the way it is. I mean, you look at some of the rules have changed. They're using 14-ounce gloves. Even in the amateur code, we use 10-ounce. And, so that's going to help Jake Paul, obviously. That's going to nullify some of Tyson's natural power. It's 8 2-minute rounds. Usually men don't box over 2-minute rounds, but this is what Jake Paul has brought to the table as part of the contract. So look, I mean, let's not look away from the fact that Taylor and Serrano, they're two extremely brilliant athletes, fantastic fighters. And I think, the rematch is going to be every bit good as the classic they had in Madison Square Gardens 4 years ago.
We've a voice note in on this actually, Ken, from Dermot. Take a listen.
Andrea, as a boxing fan, I'm absolutely appalled. Appalled is the word, with Katie Taylor even having any part of this farce, because that's what it is. It's a farce. It's a money-making racket. Even for Mike Tyson to lend his hand into this, it's just an absolute... I don't know what to call it. It's a joke. A joke. The whole thing is a joke. And for Katie Taylor to put her integrity and everything that she's put into women's boxing on the line like that, it's just... I don't know what to say about it, but she's obviously after the big payday and forgot about the integrity of the sport.
Are there many in the industry, Ken, that feel like that?
No, I don't think so. Look, everybody knows that any professional sport, especially professional boxing, you've got a very short lifespan there, and you have to make whatever money you can whilst you're in it and that you're at your peak. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but really, $6 million, you're not selling anything out. You're getting paid what you deserve to be paid for a lifetime of sacrifice and a lifetime of excellence. Both Serrano and Taylor are top of their game, and tonight, for the first time, women boxers will get paid that money.
Colin is on the line. Colin, I believe you're a boxing fan. Will you be tuned in tonight?
I won't, Andrea, no.
Why?
Because the headline fight is not really a fight now. Maybe I'm showing the age a little bit and being a bit curmudgeonly, but that's a carnival act as far as I'm concerned. Tyson versus Paul is not boxing. Taylor versus Serrano, yes, very interesting pro fight. Tyson Paul, no. They're two completely separate entities.
And would you not watch the Katie Taylor Amanda Serrano fight because of what's to come after it?
Perhaps, but like I said, just the I suppose what's hit the headlines is the Tyson Paul thing, and I just think that's just detracting from the whole thing. I mean, it's borderline disrespectful towards Taylor and Serrano. It's almost as if, why can't they just headline the card? Why do we have the Tyson Paul thing in the middle of the whole lot? That's what I don't understand. Now, I know Jake Paul is involved in promotion and he's arranging the purses and everything like that, so he's calling the shots to a certain extent, but they don't belong on the same card, those fights.
So similar to Dermot's point there, I know he sent in a voice note a few moments ago, but does it in any way reduce the integrity of the sport, or is that sort of overstating it then?
No, it does indeed, because I mean, you look at Mike Tyson. I mean, one of the all-time legends of the sport. I mean, he's taken away now from his legacy, because he's just shown that everybody has a price. I mean, God knows the man doesn't need the additional publicity or attention. So that it's just sort of a money-making racket. So it's taken away from his legacy as well. I mean, we want to remember, if you're a boxing purist, you want to remember the 10-fight streak of round one KOs and that kind of thing. You don't want to remember him for being involved in something like this.
Is this the way the industry is going, Seán? Like, are we likely to see more of this in the years to come?
I would imagine so. Well, it depends I suppose if Tyson knocks out Jake Paul in the first minute, probably won't. But if that were to happen, I think that might put an end to the YouTubers, because apart from Jake Paul, I don't think any of the rest of them have. There have been a few attempts, but nothing really. Now, I don't want to be sounding dramatic, but there is potential for tragedy tonight, unfortunately, because for lots of reasons, and we just hope that doesn't happen, which would destroy. It would have a huge impact on professional boxing in general. So it's you're playing with fire when you go into the ring. But I think what could happen is that I think Paul and Tyson know each other, and I think you could have a kind of an exhibition of 8 2-minute rounds where not a lot happens. It's interesting. It's just for people who mightn't be, your listeners who mightn't be into boxing history. Back in the mid '80s, Tyson fought when he was on, when he was probably at the height of his power. There was a famous fight in Las Vegas where he fought Frank Bruno, and it was that was obviously top of the bill. But there was a fight, and it was the first ever televised female professional fight, I think, between Deirdre Gogarty, who was from Drogheda, and Chrissy Martin, and that absolutely stole the show. Everybody was just taken aback that these two women could go into the ring and fight. Martin won, but Gogarty went on and won a world title. And just to show how much things have changed for the better in women's professional boxing, I think she got, when she won the world title, she got something like $3,000. And then when she went back to defend it, the promoter ran off, and none of the boxers got paid. So that's the distance we have travelled. And in fact, she will be in. She lives in Louisiana now, and she will be travelling to the fight tonight, I believe.
Well, the fight's at what? Is it 4 a.m. Irish time?
Well, no, probably. These things are movable feast, but I'd say about 3 a.m. Katie and Amanda are expected to be in the ring at. And they're claiming now. It remains to be seen. They're claiming it'll be the biggest ever TV audience, not just for a women's boxing match, but for any women's sport.
Right.
Because
will you be watching it, Sean? Will you sit up?
I definitely will get up.
Yeah. Well, Colm says Colm, you're saying what? You won't watch it. Ken, what about you? Will you be tuned in tonight? Ken's gone, is he? Another listener's got in touch on this just to say, it's Joe, sorry. He says they're entering the ring at 4 o'clock in the morning. I love boxing, but I'll be asleep. I'm very sceptical about this spectacle, says this listener. And another texter says, pro boxing is a business. It's as simple as that. She needs to make the money, and absolutely nothing wrong with the event at all. These boxing purists, very simply, need to get a grip. It's 087 1400 106. That is the WhatsApp number. That's Seán McGoldrick, Ken Moore, Anna Moore, Colm as well. Thanks a million for getting in touch with us.